Okay, so I've been wondering, how do I get fuel from oil and Buildcraft? Well, which, if you don't know what Buildcraft is, it's Minecraft mod, and you should know a little bit, like these pipes, engines, all that stuff. But this sort of isn't intended to be a tutorial video. It just explains the process of distilling, and hopefully from this you can then build a distillery like this, or a refinery, I guess. This is a distiller. This thing in the middle. So I'll explain how it works. So if I go over here, this is the process. So everything circled in red is what we're looking at. Everything else we don't really have to work at, and I can just delete this because I have a better place for that. So we start off with cool oil, and then we heat it to hot oil, which I will show here. So right here, this is the first step. So cool oil and hot oil, I meant hot mixed light fuel, or you could use lava to start it off. And then you put that through heat exchange, which is this thing here. Also, quick side note, these you have to put, it has to be 3 long, so then for the interfaces to show up, or outputs and inputs, and it could be up to 5 long, I think. But they're sort of weird because you have to place in, like, it's directional, sort of. So yeah. So if I turn the farm on, or not, it's not a farm, the refinery on, you can see how it works. Okay. So, well, as the things get warmed up, I'll explain it. So we're using cool oil, which is from this oil down here. This spawns naturally, like these oil puddles. There's one over there too. But yeah. So the oil gets. I don't know if I turned everything on. Okay, it looks like I did. I did now. Okay. Yeah, so you see the oil passes through here, and we're gonna get to this in a second. But the fluid, or the fuel, not this one though, at the very back, gets passed through. So then the cool oil and the mixed light fuel gets put into the heat exchange, or you could use lava, like I said before. So the oil becomes hot, and the mixed light fuel becomes cool, and the lava gets destroyed if you're using lava to start it off. So then, after that, the hot oil, going over here, it gets put into a distiller, and then from the distiller, dense oil and mixed light fuels is created, which mixed light fuels is what's turned in this yellow fluid here, which turns this oil hot, and this tank stores the cool mixed light fluid, I think, or something like that. Oh yeah, and the reason because it's floating is because it's like gas. So one super cool thing is, if I look it up, the bucket is like upside down, at least in the hot version. So you can do this, which is pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, basically we use one of the outputs of the distillery, and then use it to use it for the oil process. So yeah, and then this will be used later. So then the second thing that happens is, so dense oil comes out the bottom over here from this distiller up here, and then that gets transferred, and then another heat exchange. So it happens in this heat exchange is dense oil, because we need it to be searing now to get dense fuel. Oh, wrong thing. Gets put through heat exchange, and actually no, this was the right thing. So because of the oil, dense oil is hot since it came out of the distillery hot, and dense fuel, which is searing, which is a byproduct of when the dense oil is put into the distillery. But you could use lava to start it off. The dense oil becomes searing, and the dense fuel becomes hot, and the lava gets destroyed if you're using lava. So as you can see here, the dense oil and the dense fuel, which is a product of this second distillery. There's two distilleries, by the way, one here, one here. The first one's for like the regular hot oil, and the second one's for the dense searing oil. So yeah, because this fuel comes out searing, it's used to heat up the dense oil, and this dense fuel gets cooled at the same time, which we need, because we need this to be cool dense oil, but the dense oil is still hot. And the dense oil is the orange stuff, if you can figure out already. No, dense fuel is the orange stuff, dense oil is the brown stuff. So yeah, and then what needs to happen is we need to cool the hot dense oil, I meant fuel, so the dense fuel, which is hot, and the mixed light fuel, which is cold, which we get from over here at the top, is when they put through heat exchange, the dense fuel becomes cold, which is stored in the tank, and mixed light fuel becomes hot, which is also stored in a tank. So you can see here, this becomes cool and is stored in this output tank, which I should make a little bit bigger, and this is recycled back to in this tank to use, so it can heat up the starting oil. So that's sort of how it works. And then, oh yeah, the cool oil from here, it just gets sent back over here. So it's just a big loop. So it starts off from this distillery. This is the yellow stuff. This is like one of the byproducts, not the main one. This is the stuff we're looking for though. So yeah, it gets sent into this tank, which is then used to heat the oil, which is then, and now this is cool, and then it gets heated up again through cooling the dense fuel, and then sent back as heated thing. So basically, yeah, that, and then you get dense fuel here, which you use a bucket to obviously collect, and then also get residue. That's another side product down here, which you could also collect, and eventually these tanks will fill up with the mixed light fuels. So this tank is going to have hot mixed light fuels, and this tank is going to have cool mixed light fuels, which is the yellow stuff. And that's sort of how it works. If you know how engines work, you can start off with oil and then eventually use dense fuel. And also, if you're wondering how to not make them explode, you can use a gate down here. And usually, if the engine's blue or green or whatever color you want it, not overheat and have the redstone signal on, this will never explode because it won't get to the part where it will explode. And these engines don't explode, so it's okay if they're red. So that's sort of how it works. I'll give you like one more overview of how it works, and I think that'll be the video. So oil gets pumped from the ground, which is cool, gets heated up by this hot mixed light fuels. Now the oil becomes hot, gets put into the distillery, which then the distillery creates dense oil hot and mixed light fuels hot, which then gets recycled through here, like I said before. And then dense oil gets crossed with the searing dense fuel, so then the dense oil becomes searing and produces dense fuel searing and residue. Well, the residue is also searing. I think I forgot to mention that. And then the dense fuel becomes cool through this. Okay, ignore that. The dense fuel becomes cool, and because it's still hot. It gets cooled, but it's still hot. I sort of screwed that up. And then it gets cooled even further, while this mixed light fuels becomes hot. So then you get dense fuel cool at the end. So that's basically how it works. And also, I'd use 2 combustion engines to power the distillery. And this is very compact. You could obviously make it less compact, but this is sort of the minimum you need for a working refinery. And that's sort of the video. So I'll show you one more time here. If you want to see it, you can pause it here or here. And that's it. So video's over.